Good afternoon, Jugger fans, and welcome to Round 3 of the Mile High Open 2021. I'm your host, Sebastian Seabass Wolf, and I am extremely excited to get into the matches today. Don't forget, today is day 1 of seeding. Every single team is going to be playing each other once over the course of this event. That will determine bracket play. Here are a look at the teams today. We've got the Phoenix Lights, the Reapers, Oklahomies, Desert Wolves, Ursae Majoris, Drengr, Spartans, and Rigor Tortoise rounding out the pack. All 8 of these teams competing for the prize of best team in North America. Jugger is a competitive sport played between 2 teams. 4 enforcers armed with Pomfin and able to defend themselves, and 1 quick who has nothing and is the only player able to grab the ball in the center, known as the skull. After a countdown, the players enter the field and face off against each other in the center. The enforcers spar with their Pomfin while the quick fights for control of the skull. If a player is struck by a Pomfin, they drop for a set amount of time, temporarily taken out of the action. Using a variety of Pomfin from the spear-like slash or short and shield to the intimidating chain, an 8-foot ball on a rope, enforcers must work as a team to deal with their opponents while creating an opening for their quick to grab the skull. Once the quick sees an opening, they rush for the skull and then for the goal, placing the skull inside it and scoring a point for their team. Let's get right into the action with our first game of the day, Desert Wolves versus Rigor Tortoise. Desert Wolves, one of the best teams out of Arizona, taking on Rigor Tortoise, who has struggled to get off the ground so far in this tournament. It's going to be a highly competitive matchup for Rigor Tortoise. We'll see if they can manage to take a few points off of the Desert Wolves and maybe even claim a game off of one of the best teams in North America. Getting into the start of the game, this is going to be played in set play, as will all of our games off of day 1, meaning first person to score 3 points for their team will win the set, best of 3 sets overall to win the game. Both sides getting ready calls going out, and we'll be meeting each other here in the field momentarily. Rigor Tortoise is on your left-hand side, Desert Wolves on the right. Immediate overhand chain play from Rigor Tortoise, but great capitalization by the Desert Wolves is going to immediately knock them down. A full wipe overall on Rigor Tortoise. Desert Wolves are going to be able to walk this one in pretty quickly. Basically a surrender on the point there, and that will be point number 1 going over easily to the Desert Wolves. Decent start by Rigor Tortoise on that one. Tried to capitalize on a positional error and shot inside on that initial chain play, but great capitalization by Desert Wolves to immediately respond to the play, take them down, win their 1v1s, and score themselves a quick point number 1. As we head into point number 2 of the match, I do believe camera issues have been fixed, so we will be off just the center field view there. And here we go, both teams running back out. Flick will go over to Rigor Tortoise, but I'm not sure if it matters. Looks like, not quite sure if we got the down on the chain or not. Looks like they will, in fact, go down on the side of the Desert Wolves. Skull possession neutralized right now. Rigor Tortoise is going to grab it and go for the point. Forced to ice it away. Sword and board charging in on both sides of the field. Nobody able to capitalize, and it looks like Desert Wolves are going to be back in control of the skull as the skull sits directly over by the mound. Quick running back up, but is going to be in trouble. Chased by a sword and board. Beautiful chain play by the Desert Wolves is going to neutralize 2 more. And there we go. A little bit of contact on the field. Rigor Tortoise rushing in with the chain. I don't know if it's going to be enough, and it will be. They're going to put a stop to it with their defensive line as they get back into position. Flick the skull away from the quick and regain possession of the skull for Rigor Tortoise. Here we can see a 1v1. Oh, and just barely unable to win that one. Desert Wolves are going to be able to grab this one. Very little coverage now on that side of the field. Quick wrestle will buy enough time, though, as they scramble back into position. We've got 2 people facing off, and just barely looks like they're going to lose the 1v1, and there it'll be. Desert Wolves will secure point number 2, or will they? They will. All right. That was an insane play by Rigor Tortoise. Great work using their defensive ends to keep coverage of the field, while Desert Wolves was unable to maneuver around and get the point. Does finally get themselves point number 2, but it took a significant amount of effort on that side to get it taken over. Just like that, though, these sets do go very quick, and Desert Wolves will be on set point. Good chain break and block there on the side of the Desert Wolves. Sword and boards dueling it closest to your screen. We can see a lot of the action, though. Quick running on the far side. That's the right-hand side. Going to be zoned off of the skull again, but now he's got backup, and in comes Zano. We'll see if he can manage to win the 1v1 duel. He does, and I think that's going to be an easy walk-in. Blastoise is going to go for the coverage. Going to force Zano to maneuver back over, and look at that. There's another slash for him to fight. That's going to be a triple right there at the very end. A diving play will secure set number 1 for the Desert Wolves. I think they might have just forgotten there that there was still a quick up in play. They refused to get the hit on the Blastoise, buying enough time for Rigor Tortoise to get back in there, but it will not quite be enough. Rigor Tortoise will take set number 1 at a loss there. Desert Wolves winning the set, and we will reset the score to 0-0. For those of you who are listening to the introduction, keep in mind that there is a counter here, keeping track of the set amount of time people are supposed to be down for, but you're unable to hear that audio right now. It is available on the field of play. Beautiful flank position from Desert Wolves is going to take down 1, 2, looks like 3 on the side with the sword and board, rushing in, but there is a little bit of coverage on that side, and there it is. Point number 1 to the Desert Wolves. They're going to kick off this set in style, securing themselves an early lead in set 2. So far, some great play by Rigor Tortoise. They've really put up a decent fight and extended a lot of these plays out, but they've been unable to secure a point thus far in the game. 1-0 on the scoreboard. You see Desert Wolves coming in on the left-hand side after switching sides during the set break. Countdown comes in, both teams vying for position. A not great flick there on the side of the Desert Wolves, but it doesn't matter. They'll get possession anyway. Excellent chain play on the side of the Wolves, close to camera here, and they're going to start walking things in. A bit of coverage on the side of Rigor Tortoise, not going to quite be enough. Quick Wrestle will not successfully wrestle down the Quick, and there it is. Even though Rigor Tortoise's chain comes charging in 2-0 for the Desert Wolves. Desert Wolves, just like that, have positioned themselves into match point. Rigor Tortoise need to fight hard and fight back now if they want to have any chance of taking the win today. Desert Wolves are ready to win the match. Final countdown coming in from both sides. We'll see who can take it and if Rigor Tortoise can stop the win right here, right now. Both teams rush out onto the field. Looks like Skull Possession will go over to the Desert Wolves. Chain will do well on the outside. Will take down 2 as they continue to run around. Sword and Board going to try and pursue the Quick. Let's see if they can get the stop in. Chain blocked on the shield. I don't think they quite got there in time, though. I believe that is going to be the match to Desert Wolves. So close on the side of Rigor Tortoise, but it is not quite going to be enough. And there it is. Victory for the Desert Wolves. They've managed to win almost every single match thus far today through sheer determination, will, and player skill, and they show no exceptions today. As you can see, decent work overall as a team. Even the small errors, they're able to work them out very quickly and secure what they need in order to score points. They are constantly playing as a unit, adapting and using field position to their advantage, very often walking the Skull in on several occasions here during the game. When Rigor Tortoise puts up a really good fight, the absolute speed and movement of the Desert Wolves Quick put themselves into position to win the game. No way Rigor Tortoise was going to outrun them this time around. Congratulations to the Desert Wolves, but we've got tons more Jugger to play today as we get into Ursae Majoris versus the Reapers. The Denver Reapers have not been featured all that much on this channel. They've been off on Field 2, competing very well so far in the middle of the pack against Ursae Majoris. Ursae, one of the best teams in the league right now. This is set to be a really phenomenal matchup between these two teams. Equal skill levels, a lot of really good players on both sides, and I'm very excited to see what kind of action is going to come out from this matchup. You can see Ursae Majoris here on the left-hand side, Reapers on the right-hand side. Once again in set play, score 0-0 as we get our lines ready to go and the match about ready to begin. As I said in the introduction, Ursae Majoris and the Reapers have both performed incredibly well so far in day number 1. Both of them have phenomenal records, and we can see it showing early on. Flick is going to go over to Ursae Majoris, but a good duel on the outside is going to force the Quick to get absolutely destroyed as Goblin comes in on the outside, taking down a triple, I do believe. They're going to have good Skull Possession, but it doesn't matter. The speed of Ursae Majoris is going to stop them in their tracks, forcing the Quick down and into a duel around the mound. We can watch both sides fighting it out. Kayla going to move in on the outside here. He's going to be taken down as well. Flank play once again. Quick wrestle over the Skull. We're going to see Ursae Majoris in possession as they sprint down the field, but Goblin is going to be here to defend. He moves in on the outside. Quick is going to run in on the outside around. We'll see if it's going to be enough, and it will be. Goblin is going to force the ice, and the Reapers are once again back in control. Moving around, they're going to grab some pins on the outside, but who knows where their Quick is at the moment, possibly down or pinned on the other side of the field. Chain is going to get another elimination there, and we can now see the Quick moving in. Oh no! They've completely forgot about the Quick and the Skull, and they're going to run in, having gotten up, and there we go. First point goes over to Ursae Majoris. I am so surprised that they didn't hold the Quick pin there or take the Skull with them. Ursae Majoris, quick capitalization, and they secure themselves the first point in the match. So far, so good for both teams. That was a very good extended play, defensive play on both ends. I think really what came down to it was Reapers failing to secure a few pins there. It stopped their initial score in the first place by allowing Ursae back up, and gave them the opportunity to move the Quick and the Skull directly in to score point number 1. Immediately, we're back on the field here for point 2. Both sides rushing out. Flick this time going to go over to the side of the Reapers. Chain jump comes in on the side of Cerberus. He's going to dodge a couple of times. On the right-hand side, we're going to see some maneuvering with the Quick and the Skull, but they're unable to get it. Possession goes over to Ursae Majoris as they move across the field. Looks like Cerberus is going to be there to try and duel. Ursae Majoris is going to win that one. Excellent play on their end, but they've still got a chain to deal with. Chain jump comes in, not going to be fast enough, but they're guiding in the Quick, and there it is, point number 2 for Ursae. They are once again able to capitalize on the additional coverage on their side of the field to get themselves the points that they need. Ursae secure point number 2 as we move into set point against the Reapers. Man, I just cannot believe the extended plays coming out from both teams. You can see why I believe both of these teams are some of the top players in the tournament. They are responsive, they are quick, and they are constantly able to make sure that points aren't being given away for free. Looks like we had a tiny bit of a false start there from the Reapers, but it was early enough we're just going to reset it. No need for a flag on the play or to stop the play. And then on the right count, we do have everyone moving in. We can see sword and board slash on the inside for the Reapers. Chain on the outside for Ursae Majoris is going to take down one immediately early on. Excellent chain break, though, by the Reapers. Is going to keep this possessed. Wow, that was an insane jump from the sword and board player on Ursae Majoris, but it looks like the Reapers might actually have possession of the skull on the left-hand side. And we do see the goal count comes over. Reapers are going to score a point and give themselves a contest against Ursae Majoris. 2-1 now on the scoreboard. Ursae still has set point. There's no win by gap or anything in Jugger, so if Ursae score a third point here, they will win the set regardless. 2-1 on the scoreboard, Ursae Majoris versus Reapers. Excellent lineups on both sides. Reapers this time able to capitalize a little bit on the weakness on the right-hand side, slip that Quick right in where it needs to be, and score themselves a point. Flick this time goes to Ursae. Not the best flick, but they are able to get possession early on. A sprint down the field, and there it is! Just like that, Ursae Majoris takes set number 1. That was some of the fastest footwork I have seen on the field so far in the MHO. Ursae able to sprint their way through and secure themselves the first set. Beautiful play by their team and really, really phenomenal work by their Quick to run that fast down the field. Ursae Majoris looking very solid in this competition, but they do have a good fight against them as both teams move to switch sides here. So now you're going to see the Reapers on the left-hand side, Ursae Majoris on the right-hand side. Scores reset to 0-0 as we head into the next set. Countdown begins, and players move across the field towards the center in just a moment. Here they come. Looks like the flick is going to go over to Ursae Majoris this time around. They are going to try and get skull possession, but not quite able to do so yet. Excellent chain play on the side of the Reapers is going to give them a good fighting chance. They forget to get pins on the side of Ursae Majoris, and we can see them capitalizing on it on the other side of the field. Camera does not follow around the action on this side, but Ursae Majoris moving in on the left-hand side, trying to get their possession of the skull. You can see the skull just barely bounce onto camera there, which means that they have been forced to ice at some point in time. Still, unfortunately, no camera angles as we see the Reapers moving in to try and capitalize. We see a bit of defensive play getting zoned off here in center. 2v1, chain and slash. They're going to move back on, maneuvering themselves back around the field, and finally we do get the camera switch over to that side of the field. Excellent chain block there by Jedi Killer, and he is going to manage to force the skull to be iced once again. Skull is back in possession of the Reapers and moving itself down the center line. We see everyone kind of scrambling into position. This time around, Reapers do get at least one pin down, but we're going to see, and there it is, a full sprint across the field, and Reapers secure themselves point number 1 of the second set. Beautiful play there, though we were unable to see a lot of the action near the goal on the Reapers' side of the field. We can definitely tell that there was a lot of back and forth action, forcing of icing of the skull over and over again, and a lot of zone positioning by the side of Ursae Majoris, but not quite enough to stop Reapers from taking an early lead in set number 2. Both teams lining up once again. We can see a lot of players taking it a little bit easy. There is a full another game day of action here tomorrow. Don't forget about that. This time around, the Reapers, though, they are collapsing, and they are collapsing very quickly. Chain on the flank. I don't know if it's going to be enough. We'll see if it is. Looks like we've got Goblin fighting on the outside. Chain is going to dominate number 9 there on Ursae Majoris, is going to absolutely destroy the Reapers, forcing them into possession. And there it is. Ursae Majoris have now got possession of the skull. They are moving in, and there's very few players left on the Reapers to try to defend. Pins down the other side of the field are going to stop them, but there is one. Chain comes in, and absolutely insane flank play by Cerberus is going to stop the skull from being scored, able to sprint down the field at breakneck speeds. Chain is still up and engaged from the side of Ursae Majoris, absolutely clearing the field of the side of the Reapers, but it looks like they are going to continue to contest. There it is. They force the 2v1 play and the Ice of the Skull. Beautiful defense by the Reapers, and they're going to be back in possession. They're forcing their way down the field. What fantastic play. There's very few left. That is not necessarily true. Looks like we've actually got Mjolnir on the side of Ursae Majoris, is going to force them both back down again, and he's going to re-get that pin there. Both sides ready to duke it back out. Quick is going to get back up, but they are absolutely surrounded by Quick and Chain. Skull deflection by Ursae Majoris is going to keep that ice to one side of the field as they continue maneuver, forcing coverage on their side. Cerberus gets another elimination, will force the skull to be iced again as they both battle it out around the ground. Number 24 is going to take down Cerberus, and they're going to get their pins secured. I'm not sure if there's anyone left from the Reapers left to defend. Looks like they're going to try and make a desperate sprint back over, but the Chain's going to knock them down, and that should be a free walk in. First point for Ursae Majoris, and boy, was it a hard-fought one. Man, that was about 40-50 stones worth of gameplay from Reapers and Ursae Majoris on that one. Back and forth, multiple laps down the field from both teams. Beautiful effort. Neither team is giving up on any point by any means necessary, and Ursae Majoris this time around come out on top. We see a flag on the play, but it is not play affecting, so there will be no redo point. Thank goodness for both of those teams. I would hate to have to redo one that was that long. 1-1 on the scoreboard. We are tied in set number 2. We can see the countdown coming out here. Both teams immediately maneuvering their way onto the field. Chain on the outside from the Reapers. A beautiful chain jump. No one eliminated yet, and there it is. Mjolnir is actually going to manage to get the elimination there against the Reapers. They're going to be forced to ice that skull away, but as I say that, Goblin is going to get back up and regain control of the center of the field. Ursae Majoris using their fastest Quick. We've seen a lot of great sprints out of this player so far in the tournament as everyone vies for position around the field, playing cautiously. Ursae Majoris' Chain is going to manage to get an elimination in that 1v1, and the Quick is going to start their sprint down the field. Chain is going to grab another one, and there it is. That fast play leading to a lot of action, and Ursae Majoris is going to grab themselves a point. Yet another flag on the field, though. We will see it was near the very end of the play, so that might be play affecting enough to force a redo point. We do see the scoreboard updated to 2-1 on the side of Ursae Majoris as the refs move to the center of the field to discuss the action. Overall, though, insane sprints by Ursae Majoris. They are able to really capitalize on any opening. You can't leave them open for more than a second, or it will force a point on their side of the field. And there it is. Looks like the score is reset down to 1-1, so that penalty was play affecting. We are going to redo that point, so Reapers get a pass on that one. As the countdown continues, and here we go, right back into the action. 1-1, still a tie game in set number 2. Chain inside this time. Huge lumberous swings come in from the Chain, but it's not going to be good enough. This time, though, looks like the Reapers are sweeping decently well. Chain back up. The whole way is clear, and that's going to be a free walk-in point for the Reapers. And just like that, a little penalty flag is going to swing things in the other direction. Reapers take the lead 2-1 against Ursae Majoris. The back and forth action on this game is staggering. Reapers are now at set point themselves. We'll see if we actually take it to a third set this time around. I would love to see one. Ursae Majoris going to do their best to stop it in their tracks. 2 more for them to win this game. But of course, if the Reapers score, we reset everything back to 0 and go straight to a third set. Fighting over the skull possession, a little bit of a flick, I think, from Ursae, but no one really in possession of the skull yet. Huge bundle of action against center field. Quick being forced to run away on the side of the Reapers. He is going to go down. I don't know if he was able to ice that in time before he got struck. I don't see the skull anywhere near us, so I think he was. Reapers are going to try and defend the goal as their Quick comes in. Excellent duels on every side, but it's not quite going to be enough. And just like that, skull is going to be grabbed. Ursae places it in, and it'll be tied 2-2. Set point to match point. This is going to be the final point for Ursae Majoris. If they can put it up here, they will take the entire game. Reapers need this point to stop that from happening and force us into a set number 3. Here for a moment to talk a little bit of analytical against both of these teams. Ursae Majoris and Reapers are playing like their lives depended on it. The Reapers have had fantastic dueling skill over the course of this entire game. They are really capitalizing on their sword and board players, their strong outside chains, and their slashes are providing excellent coverage. Ursae, on the other hand, their chain has been extremely dominant, and their quick speed is almost impossible to deal with. And here we go, heading into the final play. Looks like we're actually mid-play at the moment. I think our cameras might have cut out or glitched a little bit. So this could be the final play. We do see Cerberus moving in here trying to get the pin, but he's not going to be able to do so. And that'll be a triple, I believe, from the side of Jordan on Ursae Majoris. Will take 3 down, and that might actually be a walk-in as everyone begins to set pins. We'll see if the Quick can run in and grab it in time. There's going to be a bit of a quick wrestle there just on the other side of the camera, and that'll be a free sprint in. And sure enough, Ursae Majoris are going to go ahead and take this match. 3-2, Ursae earn themselves the win. That was very, very solid defense. Unfortunately, unable to see the entirety of that last play there, but really, really well done from both teams. The speed, agility, and Jugger skill of Ursae this time around is just a little bit too much, and they earn themselves the victory today. Ursae Majoris have been incredibly winning so far. You can see them constantly using things like their chain, that speed on the outside, absolutely insane, and the incredible speed of their quicks as well, sprinting at extreme speeds all the way around. Overall, Reapers put up very, very good defenses. It's nice to see people always over by the goal, ready to defend, ready to try and capitalize on any advantage that they can get, but it wasn't quite enough today as Ursae Majoris managed to outfight their opponents and earn themselves a win yet again here for our second game today. Moving into our third game, we've got Rigor Tortoise versus the Oklahomies. This will be the second time Oklahomies are featured here on this channel as they've made it over to Field 1 for another exceptional game. It is unfortunate for those of you here in the audience unable to hear the yeehaw call of the Oklahomies, but it was quite to the delight of everyone who was attending the tournament. Now, it does look like a little bit of footage has been lost from this game so far, so as we go into the game, this will actually be Rigor Tortoise scoring their second point against the Oklahomies in set number 1. So it is currently 2-1, the score. Rigor Tortoise up against the Oklahomies. Looks like we lost a little bit of the very beginning of this match, but we should have the rest of it available for you. Rigor Tortoise and Oklahomies both been middle to bottom so far in seeding, but we do have bracket play tomorrow to see if they are able to claw their way back through and position themselves a bit higher in the tournament. But both of them have managed to score wins here and there today, putting themselves up above the Drengr, who are currently at 0 wins. We'll see if later on today they can manage to pull one off. We see both sides here collapsing early. Oklahomies on the right-hand side. Their Quick is going to find a window, and they are going to sprint directly in. I believe that is going to be a point there for Oklahomies, and they're going to tie it up 2-2 in set number 1. Immediate countdown as we head into the next play. We see both teams clashing in the center. Excellent chain there by Rigor Tortoise is going to get it down, but they are tangled up in a pomfin. You cannot use that chain if there is a pomfin wrapped around us. They've got to get it clear. They do manage to do so and get themselves another swing in. A good chain jump there by Rigor Tortoise in the back line, as well as they begin to sprint their way in. Excellent coverage. They're going to put the stop to it and walk it in. That'll be set number 1 for Rigor Tortoise. Excellent job by Rigor Tortoise there. Really good chain play on their outside, and they managed to win just enough of their duels to guide it in and get themselves the first set victory. Very hard fought. Unfortunately, we couldn't see a lot of the action there, but 2-2 set point for both teams, so Rigor just barely managed to edge this one out and get themselves the set over Oklahomies. We'll see if the Oklahomies can manage to fight back and continue to keep it as even as they have for the end of set number 1. I can speak from personal experience that Oklahomies and Rigor Tortoise have both been some of the most wonderful teams to play against during the course of the MHO. They are kind, considerate, and incredibly enthusiastic about the sport, so it's really wonderful to see them on the main field and finally getting to showcase their talents. Oklahomies' new arrivals this time around to the MHO, and they definitely showed up in force and ready to play. All of them incredibly exuberant and extremely fun to play against. We can see the ready calls going out, Rigor Tortoise and Oklahomies both getting ready. Countdown about to begin. 3, 2, 1, Jugger, and there it goes. Both teams moving their way up to the center of the field. Chain right in the middle for the Oklahomies. Interesting move there. They're going to zone away from the skull, but good play by Rigor Tortoise to get the chain down early. They're going to collapse. Looks like the entire line is taken down. That might actually be a free walk-in for Rigor Tortoise. Their chain zones them off, and sure enough, Rigor Tortoise are going to grab themselves a point, and that'll be point number 1 of set 2. I personally don't mind the chain center tactic, but you have to be able to maneuver your own quick into skull possession territory. Oklahomies unable to do so, and in fact, they even lose their chain off of the middle right off the bat there of that play. 1-0 on the score. Both teams have switched sides. We are in set number 2, so Rigor Tortoise coming at you from the right-hand side, Oklahomies from the left. Once again, they are going to use their chain very center. This time around, they do get an inside shot. They're going to position their quick around the left-hand side, and here they come screaming in. Rigor Tortoise there to try and stop, though, and they will do so. They're actually going to be able to get that down onto the quick and move in with skull possession, moving up their own left-hand side, and here comes the sprint. This is going to be stopped immediately by Oklahomies, and they are going to extend this play as everyone moves back into position. Oklahomies in position over the skull. They are going to have early possession. We'll see if they can capitalize and score as they begin to guide in. A few pins go down, and I think they're going to be at a huge disadvantage. Rigor Tortoise will be. Blastoise going to come in. I think they were able to stop the play from happening. They are going to hit the quick, and there it is. Blastoise going to try and get that stop, but he doesn't quite have the momentum to do so. Rush in by Rigor Tortoise is going to get it down, and it looks like we might be switching positions yet again. Pins come out against Oklahomies, and Rigor Tortoise are going to be the ones running down the field this time. Their quick is in possession, and there's very few players left on Oklahomies' side. Nobody on that side of the field, and they're going to run it in. Rigor Tortoise, just like that, off of an extended play, are going to find themselves at match point. 2-0 against the Oklahomies. Really wonderful back and forth play. Lots of pinning on each side, but they were really good at forcing those pins off of each other, constantly having defensive ends. Oklahomies just could not quite get it in time, and it is now going to be 2-0 match point for Rigor Tortoise. We know for a fact that Oklahomies can play well on the field. We'll see if they can put a stop to it here in what may be the final point. Sliding sword and board move. Excellent job on the side of Rigor Tortoise. They're going to take down at least 2, getting pins before finally dropping. Quick has the skull, is going to be forced to ice away as Oklahomies are able to get the defense, but the chain is up and swinging threateningly as everyone clashes in the middle once again. Quick is going to go down on the side of Rigor Tortoise, and everyone lines up. Pins all over the field as almost everyone is down for a brief window of time. A dive by the Rigor Tortoise Quick won't quite be enough, but does separate the action, and it looks like the chain player from Rigor Tortoise is going to be able to capitalize on that. Moving into position, they're going to try and wrestle over the skull as we move in. You can see pins coming in. Oklahomies try to get possession of the skull, but it's not quite good enough. Blastoise goes for the hit. Looks like he is still up and is going to grab some pins. Chains from Rigor Tortoise once again move into possession, and we are at a stalemate in the center of the field once again. Here comes Rigor Tortoise trying to swing the chain around, get pins where they can. Blastoise using the dual shorts, I believe, has dual pins on their side of the field, waiting for the quick to get back up, but we see a flank from the side of the Oklahomies, and he's going to take down the chain player from Rigor Tortoise, and just like that, we are continuing to fight. We're going to see a sprint for Rigor Tortoise, but it's not quite going to be enough, and the play continues to extend here. Blastoise moves in, I believe, grabbing yet another dual pin with those shorts, but he's going to be taken down from the flank by Oklahomies as Oklahomies wrestle for possession of the skull. Here they go. They're going to sprint down the field. I don't think there's anyone left to defend him, and there it is. Oklahomies grab themselves a point, and they put themselves on the board 1-2. Whew. I need to catch my breath after that one. That was an insane run from the side of Oklahomies. They fought hard to stop that game from ending, and they managed to fight it out and claw themselves back a point on the board. It is now 1-2, still a match point for Rigor Tortoise. Oklahomies have got to do that 2 more times to force this set. We'll see if they can do it. Chain once again middle for the Oklahomies. They're going to try and move in. A bit of an overextension will take one of their players down. Quick is going to be forced to ice the skull as everyone from Rigor Tortoise falls back into defensive positioning. Chain versus chain combat. I do believe Oklahomies might have come out on top. Looks like a double on that one. Both of them do go down. All right, good. Call the same way that I saw it. Oklahomies chain is going to get back up, but will unfortunately be forced down yet again around midfield. Rigor Tortoise's quick maneuvers on the field, trying to do their best to get into positioning. And once again, a couple people will go down from Oklahomies, and it looks like Rigor Tortoise's quick is still up and available. They're going to use their chain player to zone back off. Rigor Tortoise will win that duel, and they're going to start guiding the quick back in. Looks like they're going to call that one a double, but it doesn't matter. Rigor Tortoise is going to sprint it in before Oklahomies can capitalize, and they will win the game 3-1. Victory over to the side of Rigor Tortoise. That was a well-fought and hard-earned victory for Rigor Tortoise. Oklahomies definitely gave them a run for their money, but it wasn't anywhere near enough as they secure themselves the win. We can see a lot of really fantastic zone play here from Rigor Tortoise, putting their enforcers on the correct side of the quick and using it to walk their quicks in and score themselves and secure points. Doesn't matter how extended the play was, Rigor Tortoise was never giving up on any of their plays, constantly able to capitalize, score their points, and sprint their quicks in for victory. Even with a double hit right there from Rigor Tortoise and Oklahomies, it didn't matter quite enough. As you can see, the speed and agility on the side of Rigor Tortoise earns themselves the victory in game number 3. Here we go, game number 4. Our last game of the day is going to be the Littleton Drengr versus the Phoenix Lights. Phoenix Lights thus far in seeding are undefeated. Drengr on the other side have yet to pull a win so far in seeding. This is a pretty stacked matchup, Phoenix Lights versus Drengr, but we'll see if Drengr can maybe claw back. Plenty of their points have been hard fought, and they've been really giving a challenge to a lot of the other teams so far in the tournament. But we'll see if Drengr and Phoenix Lights have any different outcome from the one most expected. Both teams about ready on their calls, and here they come out to the center of the field. Good line positioning from both sides. No one going down early as everyone vies for position. Does look like a card on the other side of the Drengr is going to go down. Seabass as well, but he's going to get a wrap on that chain. We'll see if it really matters as everyone comes in and gets positioning on their pins. Excellent try by the chain, but it looks like we're going to have a bit of a quick wrestle. No one here to cover on either side, and a flank play is going to take them down, forcing everyone into position, but I think they were able to get the quick off there and score the point. Yeah, I do believe the point was called. Everyone stops play here, and sure enough, Phoenix Lights force it away before coverage can arrive, earning themselves point number 1 in the match. Looks like we have a little bit of talk with the line refs here about what occurred, whether or not a hand was still inside of the maul when the play was called. If there was any sort of contest over the goal, we'll see a redo point here, but everyone seems to accept the outcome as they move over to their sides of the field, and yes, we will indeed see it confirmed. Point number 1 to Phoenix Lights. Both teams readied up yet again. A good fight overall from the Drengr, and honestly, if they had held on for another stone there, they would have managed to contest the goal, but Phoenix Lights, with their efficient play, are able to secure it. We see both teams vying over the middle. Again, both sides reach the center about the same amount of time, but Hawk is going to get an excellent couple of hits in from the center side. Defense, and it will go over skull possession to the Drengr as they move in on the left-hand side. Chain is going to try some great plays, but they're not quite going to get it. Dragon going to move in, though, on the left-hand side. A chain jump coming in. Beautiful play right there. They'll take him down, and that'll be a point going over to the Drengr. It'll be tied 1-1. The number 7 seed so far against the number 1 team, and Drengr managed to take a point over the Phoenix Lights. Phoenix Lights on that one do not capitalize on their pins, allowing a flank play from Dragon, and the Drengr move in, securing themselves their first point. Tied 1-1 here in our final match, Phoenix Lights versus Drengr. Both sides on the ready call, and we'll see them hit the screen here in just a second. That skull standing out just barely on the center of the screen as both sides vie for it. Once again, really no flick, though. Possession will go over to Phoenix Lights as they begin to collapse on the right-hand side. There is no coverage left, and that's going to be an easy walk-in. This time around, the entire Drengr line collapses. Beautiful right-hand play by the chain of Phoenix Lights, and that'll be 2-1 against the Drengr. Phoenix Lights move themselves into set point just like that. The 3-point set format was utilized for the Mile High Open because we had so many games to play. But it does very quickly turn a roughly even match into a very stacked one, as Phoenix Lights find themselves immediately maneuvered into set point. We can see both sides fighting over the middle. A bit of an overextension will force a double in the middle for the Drengr, and once again, possession is in Phoenix Lights' hands. There is again no defensive coverage as the line breaks through, and that will be set number 1, easily taken by the Phoenix Lights. Unfortunately, the Drengr not able to move themselves back and get into defensive positions, so they're just 2v1'd over and over again on the side of the line, and Phoenix Lights use that to every advantage that they can. Score reset now, 0-0. Drengr and Phoenix Lights will face themselves off. This time, of course, the sets have changed, so you'll see the Drengr on the right-hand side and Phoenix Lights on the left-hand side. I gotta say, even though Phoenix Lights have definitely stepped up their game at the latter half of set number 1, it's always exciting to see the underdog team take a set, and my goodness, that was an insane flash speed quick play, able to grab the skull and get possession before the lines even formed, and they're gonna sprint it right in. Phoenix Lights have got themselves one heck of an athlete on quick. There was very little that the Drengr could do on that one. They had skull possession before I could even blink or say anything about it. And Phoenix Lights is going to secure themselves point number 1 in set 2. Both sides back on the field. It's been a quick 3 points for Phoenix Lights. They've been able to score these things and collapse the line over and over again. Drengr is going to have to find some of the stuff that they were using earlier if they want to make this a competitive match. Both teams once again rejoin the center. Good bait play by Dragon is going to collapse the middle for the Drengr, but it's not quite going to be enough. Flank play, and there we go. We're going to see, I think that was a triple by Dragon, and they're going to try and fight it out. Flank play immediately gets back up, but the Phoenix Lights chain is going to be there as well as everyone squares off in the center on an extended play. I do believe that is pin on the quick, and boom, a very quick double by the Phoenix Lights chain, and that's going to be all she wrote. Drengr put up a good fight on that one, but as soon as their line was gone and down by chain, Phoenix Lights put themselves up 2-0, and they move on to match point. That time around, though, good line play from the Drengr. They secure significantly more wins in their 1v1s than they have so far, except for, of course, the point that they scored. Just still not quite enough. They weren't able to rescue any of their pins, so they only had those 2 fighters fighting the entire time against the rest of the Phoenix Lights line. Match point for Phoenix Lights. Drengr are going to do their best to put a stop to this right here and now. Chain is going to run up, doesn't get anyone down. Going to have an excellent cycle, though. Will knock Seabass down on the far side, forces an ice from the Drengr, and it looks like Phoenix Lights will be in possession. Can Drengr put up a fight, or are they just going to walk in at this point? I see very little people. Oh, never mind. I stand corrected. His card gets up. No one had him pinned, and he's going to force the ice from Phoenix Lights. Excellent play there, using the flanks to their advantage. We see Seabass is going to get the chain break, continuing to get the pin. A second chain break, and we have possession of the skull as Drengr move in. They're going to try their best to put a stop to this play. We see a little bit of action off camera here, though. Unable to tell who's got possession, but we see Hawk pinning the Drengr quick, so we know that they are forced to ice as Card moves back into position to try and fight to free the quick. Chain going to move into pin, but they're going to give it up as they continue to play around. Phoenix Lights quick down on camera, but not pinned. They are going to move over and grab themselves the skull, and they now have possession as they move up the field. Double pin for Hawk is going to put them at a huge advantage, but it doesn't matter as Dragon moves over and gets themselves the down. They are once again going to secure skull possession, neutralized out as they're going to try and stop the double pin. Unable to do so. Oh, never mind. A double will allow 2 teammates back up, but the chain on Phoenix Lights is too good all day. Gets himself a double. We've only got a single sword and board left for the Drengr trying to get the defense, and they will not be able to do so. The skull goes into the goal, and Phoenix Lights gets themselves the win. Drengr put up one heck of a fight there. They managed to get several stones worth of play, but it's not enough. Phoenix Lights continue their undefeated streak, getting themselves the victory today and earning yet another victory card for themselves. While there was a good line overall, they were really able to showcase their skills constantly and consistently on the side of Phoenix. Whether it is out wrestling or out 1v1ing, there were several opportunities where Phoenix were just able to completely collapse the side of the Drengr and walk in the skull for free points. Their 1v1 skill and speed as quick is truly on display here, and they have demonstrated precisely why they are currently the #1 seed in the Mile High Open. Well, there we have it, folks. That's a wrap on all 4 games today. I hope you had just as much fun as I did. Thank you so much for joining all of us at the Mile High Open 2021. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and like what you see. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian Seabass Wolf, and I will see you next time with the Colorado Jugger League.